second episode of the ACE teaching series. This one is about why and how we train. The first thing to do is to think about the difference between exercise and training. Let's contrast. You come in and I give you a workout plan that you're going to do front squat for 5 sets of 3. You're going to do an overhead press for 3 sets of 5. You're going to do a snatch grip deadlift for 3 sets of 5. If you make all your target reps, you will add 1 kilogram to the bar next time when you repeat the exercises. You will continue doing this for 4 weeks, let's say. By contrast, you could come in and I could say, I'd like you to do 100 squats, 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and may as well do 100 burpees as well. I'm going out for a cup of coffee. Leave $50 on the desk on the way out. Ciao. The first one is training. The second one is exercise. Coming in and getting your sweat on for half an hour or so can be fun, but it is not productive. The difference between exercise and training is that training is a series of planned workouts designed to improve some particular physical quality. So, what is training, or what is the purpose of training? The purpose of physical training is to impose a stress on the system sufficient that the system adapts so that it is no longer a stress. I'm going to say that again, and I'd like you to note it down. The purpose of physical training is to impose a stress on the system sufficient that the system adapts so that it is no longer a stress. If doing 10 push-ups is a stress for your body, for your system, your body will develop the ability to do 12. Not because it wants to do 12, it doesn't want to be stronger, it wants to not be stressed. So if it develops the ability to do 12, then 10 will no longer be a stress. Likewise, if having 3 alcoholic drinks makes you tipsy, your body will get better at processing alcohol. Not because it wants to be better at processing alcohol, but because it doesn't want to be drunk. You might want to be drunk, but your body does not want to be drunk. So next time, or after a while of having 3 drinks, you'll have to have 4 drinks to get that same tipsy feeling. And this is how alcoholics, drug addicts, and other kinds of rock stars are born. In either case, whether it be what we might call a positive stressor, like training, or a negative stressor, like alcoholism, the body adapts so that it is no longer a stress. So this is what we're aiming for in training. To stress the body just enough so that it adapts. Not so much that it's an overwhelming stress. You come in and you do 100 squats, it's an overwhelming stress. You'll be stuffed. You won't adapt. You'll just be very, very sore. But the stress must be sufficient. You come in and do 1 squat, your body goes, yes, so what? That won't be enough either. So, the purpose of physical training is to impose a stress on the system sufficient that the system adapts so that it is no longer a stress. Okay, what should we train first? There are many, many physical qualities. There's strength, accuracy, balance, agility, joint mobility, so on and so forth. Really, they boil down to strength, the ability to produce force against an external resistance. Endurance, the ability to keep going and going. And mobility, the ability to get your body and joints in the position that you want to for your everyday life or sport. So the basic physical qualities are strength, endurance, and mobility. All of these qualities are useful. training them all would lead us to spend rather a lot of time in the gym. So if you are, as most people watching and most people who come into our gym for the first time, a previously sedentary newbie, wouldn't it be nice if there were one of these that you could focus on and it would help the other two without you training the other two directly? Well, let's think about it. If you just go for a run, train your endurance, will that make you stronger? No. You go for a run, will it make your joints more mobile? No. They actually feel stiffer afterwards. Okay, so endurance does not help mobility or strength. How about mobility? If you do a yoga class, will it make you stronger? Do that yoga class, will it help you run faster? Nope. Okay. So mobility doesn't help endurance or strength either. How about strength? Well, let's consider, if you right now hold onto a doorknob or a stand or something like that and face it and drop down into a squat, you will find this challenges your mobility. So simply adopting the normal positions of exercises in a weight training regime will improve your joint mobility. So strength helps mobility. As for endurance, if you run, cycle, swim, row, or whatever along, and that takes 20 units of strength, whatever those units may be, to do, and you have 20 units of strength, you are going to find that you fatigue rather quickly. But if you have 40 units of strength, you'll find that you can keep going at the same pace for much longer. And in fact, you can go a bit faster too. So while endurance doesn't help mobility or strength, and mobility doesn't help strength or endurance, strength does help endurance and mobility in the previously sedentary newbie. So if that is you, you need to train for strength first. And that is why in this gym we focus on strength first. Now, as to how best to train for strength. There are 670 muscles, thereabouts, in the human body. If we train them all individually, we're going to spend a rather long time in the gym. So ideally, we want movements that train several muscles at once. For example, if you want to train your pecs and your delts and your triceps, you could do dumbbell flies, dumbbell front raises, and good old skull crushers. Don't do it as a ballistic movement, guys. Or you could just do a push-up or a bench press. So if we choose the exercises that use the most muscle mass, we find that we spend less time in the gym. Now, what is strength? It's producing force against an external resistance. So we also choose the exercises that use the most weight. Lastly, if you think of somebody doing 100 push-ups like that versus 100 push-ups like that, which one is stronger? Obviously, the one who used the greatest effective range of motion, the full range of motion. So, the criteria for our choosing our movements are the ones that use the most muscle mass to move the most weight over the greatest effective range of motion. These three criteria cannot be satisfied all at once. They are merely guidelines for us in choosing our exercises. Nonetheless, they give us a relatively short list of exercises. Things like chin-ups and push-ups and squats and lunges and leg press and cleans and snatches and so on. So then we have to say, okay, which of these are we going to choose? What tool are we going to use? Because we've got machines, we've got dumbbells, we've got kettlebells, we've got barbells, we've got body weight. So, first thing we do, because we're dealing with previously sedentary newbies, is look for ones which are regressible. We can find a simpler version of the movement to do. So for example, a person who is not strong enough to squat down below parallel may be able to squat to a bench, or they may be able to do a leg press. And with the bench, you increase the range of motion over time, lower bench next time, lower bench the time after, and so on. With leg press, you increase the load over time, make it very light and then heavier. So we want exercises that are regressible, but we also want them to be progressible. We want to be able to add weight to the bar over time, increase the number of sets and reps, increase the technical difficulty, and so on. We also want ones which are titratable. We have in the gym the normal 20 kilogram barbells, of course, but also 15s and an 8 kilogram barbell. We have also fractional plates, rather than just the minimum 1¼ kilograms that you normally see in a Globo gym. It goes down to 1/4 kilogram. So we can go up in jumps as little as 1/2 kilo. We had an 84-year-old gentleman here once. He was able to press the 8 kilograms overhead, and he was able to go up by 1/2 kilogram a week. Progress is progress, particularly when you're 84. If you were to do 1/2 kilogram of progress a week, you'd add 26 kilograms to the bar, or from 8 to 34 in 12 months. Obviously, we would expect an 84-year-old guy to get stuck a wee bit before that. Nonetheless, progress is progress. So barbells work well as a tool. They require balance. Versions of their exercises are regressible and progressible in technical difficulty, range of motion, sets and reps, and they are titratable in load. In other words, wherever you are, we can meet you there. Whether you be an 84-year-old guy with a couple of total knee replacements, or a healthy young 20-year-old with a sporting background, using barbells and basic movements like squats, presses and deadlifts, we can meet you where you are and progress you from there. This is not true of many other methods. It is not true of dumbbells, or kettlebells, or body weight. Or it is true to a degree, but it requires quite some finesse, and it requires more technical skill. You are not going to teach an 84-year-old to do a kettlebell swing, but you can teach him to do a rack pull, and over time increase the range of motion to do a deadlift. And so this is why we believe that there is a difference between exercise and training. That the purpose of physical training is to impose a stress on the system sufficient that the system adapts so that it is no longer a stress. We believe that the best way to do this is to train strength first if you are a previously sedentary newbie. And to train strength, we need to choose the movements which use the most muscle mass to move the most weight over the greatest effective range of motion. And that the best tool for this is the barbell. Physical training can change how you look, how you feel, and how you perform. Our experience is that, properly performed, nothing will change how you look, feel, and perform as quickly and profoundly as your first 3 to 6 months of progressive resistance training using barbells. And that's the end of the second of the 8 teaching series, Why and How We Train. Thank you for listening. We hope you found it useful and interesting. Please like, comment and share. And good night.